Good day, everyone. Welcome to our profitability ratios. So here we have our three ratios in regards to how well we are generating net income. So first is how profitable we are in relation to our sales. Then we're going to figure out how profitable we are in relation to our assets, so how well our total assets are generating net income. And then finally, how profitable we are in relation to our total owner's equity, or what's the return basically on the investments that our owners are making in terms of profitability. So we'll start with our profit margin. And one thing I do want to sort of remind ourselves is if we look at profit margin, if we actually did our common size income statement, so remember we're going to be doing a vertical analysis here in relation to our sales, right? So each item is a percent of our sales. Okay, so this should be familiar. The bottom line here, again, is our profit margin. Okay, so in other words, how well does our sales generate net income? How profitable, what's our flow through, right? So the more, obviously the greater the net income we have, the more profitable we are in total. So we can actually use that here, okay? But I'm just going to get rid of that for now, but just want you to understand where that common size relates. So again, we'll take a look. So our net income as it relates to our sales, right? So we have about 12 12% return, okay? So basically, in other words, what that means is, in this case, we're generating about 12 cents of profit from every sale, which is quite healthy. And probably anything over 5 or 6% is quite good. But of course, we always want to determine the industry as well. So let's move on to return on assets. Okay, so now we want to know, amongst these assets, amongst all the equipment that we have or all the inventory that we have, how profitable, what's the result of all that? Okay, so how does that affect our net income? Are we generating a good percent or a good return in regards to our net income when we're actually looking at our total assets? So we're going to take we're going to take our net income again, and now we're going to compare it to our total assets. Okay, again, pretty good return, right? And finally, so we know that our assets are generating a healthy net income. We also want to figure out, what about our owner's equity? What about their investment? Are they getting a good return? And again, yes, depending on the industry, but I'd say anywhere around 20 to 30% ROE is usually quite healthy. Okay, so let's take a look here. We're going to take again our net income, and we're going to divide now by our total owner's equity. So that's quite a high return. Okay, so they're getting about a 60% return. One thing you might notice is, there is quite a change here. And, if you look further, you might recognize that our retained earnings actually has decreased. Okay, so what that could mean, and maybe in this case likely mean, is yes, the owners are getting a good return, and that might be in the form of paying out dividends. So this is why our retained earnings has decreased. So again, from an owner's point of view, still very strong performance, okay? But you might want to think about that in terms of not having enough investment or retained earnings for future growth. But regardless, from an owner's point of view, quite good, quite strong. So let's punch in our numbers. And again, just a reminder, when we're interpreting these ratios, it's just an opportunity to start asking more questions and try and find some relevant connections. Okay, return on equity. One thing obviously I haven't pointed out, but you probably see by now, is that reminder that you are dealing with percentages usually when we express our profitability ratios. So just make sure you do have the right format. Okay, it's a little different. And in this case, they want to know, this is from really the point of view of the shareholders. Okay, so it's really from the point of view of that return on equity and how are they performing. Okay, so consider that when you're making the decision for between A, B, and C, and D. Thanks for watching, and happy financing.